Have you ever noticed that your father or mother is more tired, has no energy, and complains about being weak all the time? Sometimes we think that this is normal for their age. But the truth is that many of these complaints are directly related to what they are or are not consuming on a daily basis. And do you know what's worse? There are many elderly people out there taking the wrong supplements and thinking that they are doing them good. In this video, I will show you which supplements are really useful for those who are experiencing weakness, loss of strength, constant fatigue, and I will also warn you about those that seem harmless, but do not work as promised. If you take care of someone older, or want to ensure better health and energy in their old age, stay with me until the end because this information can make all the difference in the life of someone you love. Shall we watch the video? Welcome to this channel. Here we talk in a light, practical and accessible way about health, longevity, and also about how to live a slower life, because as I always say, life in 1x mode is life with more intention and less rush. In the previous video, we talked about a topic that generated a lot of comments and questions: weakness in elderly people. And look, I sincerely hope you enjoyed that content. I'm assuming you did. And it was precisely because of that I decided to continue this conversation. Now bringing you the second part, the best supplements for elderly people with weakness. Yes, in today's video, I'm going to introduce you to 6 more supplements that can be true allies in the daily lives of elderly people, especially if they are experiencing fatigue, indisposition, or that constant feeling of lack of energy. But before we get straight into this list of supplements, let me give you a quick context about what may be behind this weakness that so many people report. Understanding the cause is essential for us to know how to act effectively, okay? First point, it could be sarcopenia, which is a significant loss of muscle mass, common with aging. Second, specific nutritional deficiencies, which arise precisely because, as time goes by, it becomes more difficult to change eating habits. Not to mention that the body no longer absorbs nutrients in the same way. And finally, the presence of chronic inflammation, which often goes unnoticed, but directly impacts the energy and vitality of the elderly. So stay with me until the end, because this information can make all the difference in the life of someone you love. Let's join us. Let's continue with our list. And as you already know, many of the symptoms of weakness in the elderly are associated not only with aging itself, but also with metabolic imbalances that accumulate over time. So today's first supplement, which is actually the 6th in our sequence, is hydroxymethylbutyr, or simply HMB. And don't worry, the name is complicated, but its function is simple and very important. HMB helps prevent the loss of muscle mass. That is, it prevents our body from breaking down the proteins that form the muscles. Remember the comparison I made in the last video? Proteins are like the bricks of our muscular house, and if these bricks start to disappear, the entire structure becomes more fragile. HMB comes in right there. It protects this structure, especially in elderly people who are already losing muscle due to sarcopenia. This supplement is also very useful for those who have spent a lot of time in bed or have gone through long periods of immobility. You know, those elderly people who have been hospitalized or have had reduced mobility for months. So, HMB can help a lot in this recovery process. The second supplement today is the famous vitamin and mineral complex. I usually call this type of supplement the wild card, because it is ideal for those cases in which there is not a single, very clear deficiency, but rather an unbalanced diet in general, which, let's face it, is quite common. These complexes guarantee the minimum necessary of important nutrients to maintain the proper functioning of the body, even when the diet does not cooperate so much. The third supplement today is an old acquaintance. Iron. Unlike vitamins, it is an essential mineral for the formation of hemoglobin, the part of the blood that transports oxygen. And why is this important? Because when there is a lack of iron, the body enters a state that we call iron deficiency anemia, which manifests itself with fatigue, weakness, leg pain, excessive sleepiness. In other words, symptoms that we often think are just due to age, but which can be treated. And here's a golden tip. To improve iron absorption, it should be taken with citrus foods, for example, orange or lemon juice, and before meals. This is because iron is better absorbed in an acidic environment, and as we age, the stomach's natural acidity tends to decrease. In other words, this small adjustment can make all the difference. Supplement 4. Coenzyme Q10. Now let's talk about a supplement that, without exaggeration, is considered by many to be the real darling when it comes to healthy aging, coenzyme Q10, or simply CoQ10. And it's no coincidence, it is a very powerful natural antioxidant, and its main role is to directly participate in the production of energy within the mitochondria, which are like the batteries that power our cells. When these batteries are charged, we feel energy, disposition, vitality. When they are not, then comes fatigue. In fact, there is a term that you may have heard of, the so-called old man's blood. I explain this better in another video here on the channel. And the drop in CoQ10 levels is one of the causes of this condition as we age. The natural production of this substance decreases, and this has a direct impact on our disposition. Do you wake up tired? Do little exercise and already feel your body complaining? Or do you notice that your parents are always saying that they are lacking energy? Well, the lack of energy may be linked to the drop in CoQ10. And there's more. This supplement is also great for heart health. It improves cardiovascular function and helps combat oxidative stress, that silent cellular wear and tear that builds up over the years. With this, CoQ10 can reduce the constant feeling of tiredness and help a lot in cases such as heart failure or chronic fatigue syndrome. But be careful, as I already said in this video, and also in the previous video, we are not here to prescribe anything. Our goal is to provide quality information in a simple and accessible way to help you better understand the possibilities. The ideal dosage of coenzyme Q10, as with any supplement, will depend on several factors: age, health condition, use of medications, and so on. Therefore, guidance from a health professional is essential. And if you do not have this monitoring yet, don't worry, I am available to help you with this. Whether it be through an in-person consultation, if you live in the region, or even through telemedicine, in a practical and safe way, here in the video description you will find our contact details. Now, if you have made it this far in this video, I have a very simple request of you. But it helps a lot. Click the like button, yes, that famous little thumbs up, in a good way, of course. When you like, YouTube understands that this content is relevant and starts showing it to more people who are looking for exactly this type of information. And there's more. If the hype function is still available in your app, a number will appear next to it. Click on it too. This helps me keep this video highlighted in the platform's relevance ranking, making this message reach even further, alright? Then let's move on to the next supplement. Supplement 5. Probiotics. Let's continue our video now by talking about something you've probably heard of, but perhaps didn't know how much it can impact the health of the elderly: probiotics. I even have a video here on the channel where I talk specifically about how to deal with constipation in the elderly, and there I go into more depth on this topic, but here, I'll get straight to the main point. Probiotics are essential for balancing the intestinal microbiota, that is, keeping the good bacteria in the intestine functioning properly. This makes all the difference in metabolic and immune health, and even in the feeling of well-being. And there's one detail you really need to know nowadays. The intestine is considered our second brain. That's right, just like the brain you already know. The intestine also sends signals and commands to the central nervous system. In other words, what happens in the intestine directly influences what happens in your mood, your energy, your focus, and even your immunity. Therefore, taking care of your intestine also means taking care of your neurological system. A healthy intestine means less inflammation, better absorption of nutrients, more energy, and a much greater sense of vitality in everyday life. This helps the body to function better as a whole, reduces chronic inflammation, which is one of the biggest villains of health in aging, and allows the elderly to feel more energetic, lighter, and more vigorous. Do you see how it makes sense to pay more attention to the intestine? Supplement 6. L-carnitine. To end our video today on a high note, we are going to talk about a supplement with a somewhat complicated name, but with very interesting effects. L-carnitine. Despite its strange name, it is simply a super important amino acid when it comes to transforming fat into energy. That's right, L-carnitine helps the body to use fatty acids as fuel, which can make all the difference for those who are constantly feeling tired or weak. Think of it as an extra tool to boost the body's energy. By improving the energy metabolism of cells, it helps reduce the feeling of weakness, increases available energy and combats persistent fatigue, especially in people who live with chronic diseases, such as hypertension, diabetes or conditions that drain energy in everyday life. But before you go out there and take everything you see, pay close attention now. It is essential to have the right strategy for supplementation. Always start with a clinical and laboratory evaluation to find out what your real need is. Just because one supplement is good for another does not mean it will work the same way for you. Supplementation must be personalized, based on tests and professional monitoring. In addition, regularly monitor your serum levels, especially if you are using the supplement for a longer period. There are substances that the body can accumulate, and taking them for too long without guidance can even be harmful. On the other hand, some can be used for long periods. Yes, but with due control, and most importantly, supplements are not miracles and do not replace a healthy lifestyle. You need to combine supplementation with regular physical activity and a balanced diet. I always say this: vitamins and supplements are part of a behavioral transition process. The idea is that, as you take better care of your diet and move your body, you will adjust this path. Over time, you may even no longer need to take supplements, because your own body will be functioning better, naturally. And if you've made it this far, look, this shows me that you are truly committed to your health, or that of someone you love. So now, consider subscribing to the channel. This is the next step if you really want a healthier, longer, and higher quality life. That's what I've been promoting here. A life in mode 1x. Life in mode 1x is one where you live with more intention and less rush, where each step is conscious, each choice is thought out, each change is made with purpose. So, if this content made sense to you, I'll leave here to more videos that may also interest you. I'll stop here for today, but I'm already preparing the content for our next video. Until then, a big hug and bye.